asked about it for the last few weeks. Before the church actually made the announcement that they were doing the baptisms, so I just always kind of carried the thought in my mind that I would want to do it. And eventually the church had announced it, and I thought this was God's calling for me to say yes, that this is the time for me to do it.
So you've been a Christian for a while?
I've been a Christian for my whole life, but I started coming here since December. And this is where I grew in my relationship with the Lord.
Oh, that's fantastic. What made you decide to start coming here in December?
So I'm actually friends with the pastor's son, Daniel, and I took a public speaking class back in high school or college, my second year. And I met him there in that classroom. I wasn't really going to church at the time, and so he invited me to come out to Branch, the young adults group, and I came over and he introduced me to Calvary Chapel, so I started coming here since then.
He was talking about fear today and how in Christ we have a method of fear.
Right.
What's it been like for you during this whole pandemic? Do you have friends, non-Christian friends, that are fearful? And are they looking for answers and asking you questions?
I do have friends that are fearful with this, and some that are Christian who are also fearful to come to church, and they prefer to stay on the online side. But for me personally, it hasn't been that fearful because I grew my relationship before this started, so I already had the strength to be coming to church every week to help out and do what I do. So honestly, if anything, I think this has been more of a blessing for me because it's made me stronger than following along with the things of this world that they want to portray to make people feel like they have to live in fear or they have to do things to be outside. So yeah, it's kind of not a fun situation, but it's been pretty good for me. And as for my friends, they do ask me questions, but not generally stuff about faith. It's just more like on how us as a church, or when I talk about our church being open, they'll ask me how we handle with COVID and if we're doing the precautions and stuff. And I just be honest and tell them we have our signs posted if anyone wants to do that. But it's like ultimately it's really up to you, and it's like your trust with the Lord. If you're gonna trust to let Him lead you into the church and do those things, I say go for it. That's the best thing you can do.
Did anybody ask, if they ask you, well, how are you meeting a person? You say, well, Hebrews 10:25 commands us to. Do you have any questions following up on that?
Thankfully, no. I actually, when I've talked to people about it, no one's really giving me a hard time or been mad about us meeting together, so that's a blessing. But I do have friends though who think it is better to just stay online. So it's, I kind of just leave it up to them as long as, they're not leaving their faith. Of course, that's really what matters at the end of the day. But I would try to encourage my friends to come, but they usually would not be upset or anything if I ask them, it's just more like kind of if they want to be here sort of thing. But I just do my best to encourage them, and no one ever really has a hard time about it. They just kind of just go with things and, just let things be. So praise God for that.
Yes. Have you been able to bring non-Christian friends to church during this pandemic?
I've tried. Unfortunately, they've been a little bit on the fearful side to come, but I'm still trying, just reaching out to whoever needs to know Christ and, just doing the best I can to welcome them. I even mention, every week I notice how much people we have coming into church. I try to get an idea of where the safe spots are for them, where they don't have to be close to people, or just get an idea of what times to come in and to leave so that it's not a bunch of people just leaving. But it's really up to just them at the end of the day. I just try my best to encourage them and, share maybe a few verses saying okay, the Lord is going to be our strength. We're going to get through this together, and that, whatever happens is in the Lord's will if we're allowing Him to take control of our life. So at the end of the day, there's nothing to fear.
And it seems like you've been here since December, so.
I would say a lot, but I know most of it is because there's churches around here that are so close, so people want to come to church and they choose to come here instead. So that's a blessing, the fact that we can bring others here so that they can learn about the Word of God more and, get into it more. But I would definitely say it's grown a lot, and there's a lot that we want to continue doing together as a church, and you know, it's going to take some time to get together and make sure everyone's in it all together. But for the most part, we're definitely growing together, and especially congregation. There's a lot more people coming, and that's a blessing.
Yeah, it's a big blessing. You may have to go to another service.
Or maybe 2 services.
Yes. Let's see, one last question here. So 10 years from now, some of your age pulls up this video, and they're undergoing something that's some crisis that's even worse than that pandemic. What would you want them to know?
That's a tricky question because, you know, these things were hard enough when it first started. I mean, for me, the church, when we first had online services only, it was a nice break for me to stay home and just be in the Word and be in prayer as much as I could. But for someone during that time, I would definitely consider continuing that, but also if the church is open, go, whether or not it's another pandemic or what, just do it, because that's where you're going to grow, and that's where you're going to get away from that fear. And eventually when you start coming, you'll be more comfortable seeing the reality of things, that it's not as bad as it seems. And here, the Lord's going to protect us. We're in His house. You know, He's not going to let Satan come in here and destroy us just that easily. So, you know, it's for the best. Just do it and do what your gut says. Don't trust your mind. Don't trust your instincts. Just do it and do it. Do as the Lord's asking us to do it. Like you guys mentioned in Hebrews, that's exactly what He's commanded us to do. So we just obey.
Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.